Maybe we should just sell Ivy's house and use the money for Trent and Scarlett's treatments. The words hit me like a slap across the face, but I kept my expression neutral as I cut into my overpriced steak. Teresa, my mother-in-law, had just casually suggested selling my house, the one I bought with my own money, like she was discussing the weather. My name is Ivy, and I've been married to Brock for 6 years. 6 years of sitting at this mahogany dining table every Sunday, listening to his family dissect my worth like I'm a broken appliance they can't return. That's actually not a terrible idea, Mum, Trent said, reaching for his wineglass. My brother-in-law always spoke like he was addressing a board meeting, even at family dinner. The equity in that place could cover at least 3 more IVF cycles. Scarlett, his wife, nodded eagerly. Dr. Martinez said the success rates are much higher with the premium package. We just need the funding. I glanced at Brock, waiting for him to remind everyone that it was my house they were discussing. Instead, he was staring at his plate, jaw working like he was chewing over the idea. It's a beautiful home. Palmer, my father-in-law, finally spoke up. But family comes first, right? And Trent and Scarlett are so close to giving us our first grandchild. The implication hung in the air like smoke. I wasn't going to give them grandchildren, so what good was I? I mean, it's not like Ivy needs all that space, Teresa continued, her voice dripping with false concern. What's the point of a 4-bedroom house when it's just the 2 of you? Just the 2 of you. Never, when you don't have children yet, or until you start your family. Always phrased like my infertility was a choice, a character flaw, a personal failing. The house has great bones, Scarlett chimed in. We looked at the listing photos when you first bought it. The master suite would be perfect for a nursery conversion. They'd been looking at my house, planning, calculating. How much equity do you think is in there now? Trent asked Brock directly, like I wasn't sitting right there. Probably close to 400,000, Brock answered quietly. Maybe more with the renovations Ivy did. Renovations I did. With my money, my sweat, my vision. But sure, let's sell it to fund someone else's dreams. 400,000! Scarlett's eyes lit up. That could cover everything. The treatments, the medications, maybe even the genetic testing. Teresa reached over and patted Scarlett's hand. You deserve every chance, sweetheart. You'll be such a wonderful mother. The words she'd never said to me, never would say to me. What do you think, Ivy? Teresa turned to me with that smile that never reached her eyes. You'd be helping create the next generation of our family. Isn't that more important than holding on to a house? All eyes turned to me. Brock's were pleading, like he was begging me to just go along with it, to be the good wife, the team player, the woman who knew her place. It's an interesting suggestion, I said carefully, setting down my fork. I'd need to think about it. What's to think about? Trent leaned forward. Family helps family. That's how it works. Easy for you to say, I replied, my voice steady. It's not your house. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Well, technically, Teresa said, her tone sharpening, marriage is a partnership. What's yours is Brock's, and what's Brock's is yours. Right, honey? She was looking at Brock, not me, waiting for him to put his wife in her place. Mom's right, he said quietly. We're a team. A team. Right. A team where I was the benchwarmer who occasionally got called in to write checks. Of course we are, I said, forcing a smile. I just want to make sure we're making the right decision. For everyone. The right decision is obvious, Scarlett said, her voice getting higher. Some people get to be mothers, and some people get to help make that happen. That's just how life works. Some people. Like it was a lottery I'd lost, not a medical condition I was dealing with. I looked around the table at these people, my husband's family, who were supposed to be my family too. They were all nodding, agreeing, planning my life without me. "I'll consider it," I said finally. Under the table, I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to Nora, my best friend and the only person who knew the real me. "I'm going to end this. I need your help. No one must know." The drive home was silent, except for the hum of the engine and Brock's fingers drumming against the steering wheel. I stared out the passenger window, watching the houses blur past. Houses that other couples lived in without having their worth questioned every Sunday. "So," Brock finally said as we pulled into our driveway, "what do you really think about Mom's suggestion?" I looked at our house. The craftsman-style home I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. The wraparound porch I'd restored myself. The garden I'd planted. The life I'd built. "You mean your mom's demand that we sell my house?" "Our house," he corrected, but his voice lacked conviction. I turned to face him. "Really? Our house? Tell me, Brock, how much did you contribute to the down payment?" He shifted uncomfortably. "You know I was between jobs when we bought it. And the mortgage payments? We both—" "I pay the mortgage. I pay the property taxes. I paid for every renovation, every improvement, every piece of furniture." My voice was getting louder, but I didn't care. "So please, explain to me how this is our house when it comes to selling it, but it was my project when I was doing all the work." Brock got out of the car and slammed the door. I followed him up the front steps, my heels clicking against the wood I'd refinished last summer. "This isn't about money," he said, fumbling with his keys. "This is about family. Your family. They're your family too." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your family just spent 2 hours discussing selling my house like I wasn't even there. Your mother suggested I should be grateful for the opportunity to fund your brother's fertility treatments. How exactly does that make them my family?" We stepped inside, and Brock immediately headed for the kitchen. He grabbed a beer from the fridge I'd bought, and popped it open. "Trent and Scarlett are struggling," he said. "They've been trying for 4 years. 4 years, Ivy. Can you imagine what that's like?" The irony wasn't lost on me. "Actually, yes, I can imagine exactly what that's like." "That's different." "How is it different?" Brock took a long drink before answering. "They're actively trying. They're doing everything they can. The treatments, the specialists, the lifestyle changes. They're fighting for it. And I'm not. Are you?" He set the beer down hard on the granite countertop. "When's the last time you brought up seeing a fertility specialist? When's the last time you even mentioned wanting kids?" I stared at him. "When's the last time you asked me how I was feeling about any of this? When's the last time you defended me when your family made their little comments? They don't mean anything by it. They called me Barren, Brock. Your mother literally used the word barren last month. She was just what? Being honest? Telling the truth?" I walked over to the kitchen island, placing my hands flat on the surface. "Let me ask you something. If we sell this house and give the money to Trent and Scarlett, where exactly do you think we're going to live? We'll figure it out. Maybe rent for a while, save up for something smaller." "Something smaller." I repeated the words slowly. "So I should give up the home I worked for, the life I built, to live in a smaller place so your brother can have a bigger family. It's not forever. Once I get the promotion—" "You've been saying that for 2 years." Brock's face flushed. "I'm doing my best." "Are you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're doing whatever your family tells you to do. That's not fair." "Fair?" I walked around the island until I was standing directly in front of him. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would be you telling your mother that this house isn't for sale. Fair would be you reminding your family that I'm your wife, not their personal ATM. Fair would be you acting like my husband instead of their little brother." Brock looked away. "They're just excited about the possibility of grandchildren." And what about the possibility of us having children? Or does that not matter because it's taking too long? Of course it matters. Then why are you so eager to sell the house we'd raise them in? He didn't have an answer for that. He never had answers when it came to choosing between me and his family. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, turning the screen toward him. Do you see this balance? His eyes widened slightly. This is my account, my money, my financial security. I put the phone away. And you want me to liquidate my biggest asset to fund someone else's dreams while you contribute nothing but moral support? Ivy, I'll consider it, I said, echoing my words from dinner. But I'm going to need some time to think about what's really best for our family. I headed toward the stairs, then paused. Oh, and Brock, next time your mother suggests selling something, maybe remind her that she doesn't own it. The country club's dining room buzzed with the usual Tuesday lunch crowd. Women in designer athleisure discussing their children's achievements over overpriced salads. I'd been dreading this lunch with Teresa and Scarlett for a week, but declining would have raised suspicions. Ivy, darling, you look tired, Teresa said as I approached their table. She was already halfway through her wine, which explained the false warmth in her voice. Just busy with work, I replied, taking my seat. Scarlett looked up from her phone. Still doing that little consulting thing? That little consulting thing had made me more money in the past year than Brock and Trent combined, but I just smiled. Something like that. Well, hopefully you won't be too busy to help with our situation, Teresa said, signaling the waiter. We've been thinking more about the house. Of course they had. Actually, Scarlett leaned forward conspiratorially. We drove by yesterday. The neighborhood is so nice. Perfect for families. You drove by my house. Just to get a feel for the market value. Teresa waved dismissively. Palmer has a friend in real estate. He thinks we could get asking price, maybe more. The waiter appeared. Ladies, what can I get you today? I'll have the salmon, I said, handing back the menu I hadn't looked at. Make that 3, Teresa said, and another bottle of the Chardonnay. Once the waiter left, Scarlett pulled out her phone again. I've been researching the clinic Dr. Martinez recommended. They have an 80% success rate with their premium package. 80%, Teresa repeated. Can you imagine? Scarlett could be pregnant by Christmas. That would be wonderful, I said carefully. The thing is, Scarlett's voice dropped, the premium package is expensive, like really expensive, but Dr. Martinez says it's our best shot. Teresa reached across the table and patted my hand. Which is why we're so grateful you're considering helping. Not everyone would be so generous. Generous. The word tasted bitter. I mean, let's be honest, Scarlett continued. You and Brock aren't using the space, and it's not like you're getting any younger. The table fell silent. Even Teresa looked uncomfortable with how blunt that was. What Scarlett means, Teresa said quickly, is that time is a factor for all of us. Scarlett's 31, which is still young, but every month counts when you're trying to conceive. I'm 32, I said quietly. Right, but you're not actively pursuing treatment, Scarlett said. I mean, are you? Because if you were, we'd totally understand if you needed the money for your own treatments. They both stared at me, waiting. This was it. My chance to tell them about the appointments I'd been to, the tests I'd had done, the diagnosis that had shattered my world 6 months ago. No, I said instead. I'm not pursuing treatment. See? Scarlett turned to Teresa triumphantly. I told you. Some people just aren't meant to be mothers. The words hit like a physical blow. Teresa at least had the decency to look embarrassed. Scarlett, that's not... What? It's true. Look at my sister-in-law Rachel. She never wanted kids, never tried, and she's perfectly happy. There's nothing wrong with that. Scarlett looked back at me. Right, Ivy? You're happy with your life the way it is. Our salads arrived, giving me a moment to compose myself. The waiter refilled our wine glasses, and I noticed several other tables had gone quiet, clearly listening to our conversation. I think, I said slowly, that happiness is more complicated than that. But you agree that the house would be better used by someone who actually needs the space? Teresa pressed. I think, I said, louder now, that my living situation is between me and my husband. Of course, dear. We're just trying to help. Teresa's voice carried across the dining room. It's so hard when family members are struggling with fertility issues. We all have to make sacrifices. I felt the eyes of other diners on us. Mrs. Henderson from the tennis committee was openly staring. The Morrison sisters had stopped eating entirely. Especially when some family members have been blessed with resources, Scarlett added, her voice also carrying. It's only natural that those resources should help where they're needed most. Needed most, I repeated. Well, yes. I mean, what's the point of having a big house if you're not going to fill it with children? Scarlett laughed, but it sounded forced. It's like having a sports car when you don't know how to drive. The metaphor was so ridiculous I almost laughed. Almost. You know what? I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I just remembered I have a conference call. But you haven't touched your salmon, Teresa protested. I've lost my appetite. I walked out of the dining room, feeling every pair of eyes following me. Behind me, I could hear Teresa's voice, louder now, explaining to anyone within earshot about family obligations and difficult situations. In my car, I sat for a moment before pulling out my phone. I had 17 missed calls from Nora and a text. Emergency. Call me now. But first, I opened my laptop and searched for fertility clinics for sale. It was time to do some research. You want to buy what? Nora's voice crackled through my car's Bluetooth as I sat in the country club parking lot. The fertility clinic chain. Valeria Clark is selling. I found the listing buried in a medical trade publication. Ivy, that's insane. Even for you. I pulled up the documents on my phone. 3 locations, established patient base, excellent reputation. The financials look solid. How much are we talking? 2.8 million for the whole chain. Silence. Then, Jesus Christ, Ivy. You have that kind of money? I have enough. Plus, the investment portfolio you helped me set up is performing better than expected. This isn't about money. This is about revenge. This is about taking control of my life. Nora sighed. Where are you right now? Country club. Just had lunch with Teresa and Scarlett. How bad was it? They told a room full of people that I'm not meant to be a mother and that my house should go to someone who actually needs the space. Those bitches. Can you meet me at your office? I need to move fast on this. Valeria's motivated to sell quickly. I'll be there in 20 minutes. But Ivy, we need to talk about the legal implications of what you're planning. An hour later, I sat across from Nora in her downtown law office, contracts spread across her mahogany desk. Valeria Clark is desperate, Nora said, reviewing the documents. Her husband wants to retire to Florida, and she's tired of the stress. She's willing to take a below-market offer for a quick, clean sale. How quick? She wants to close within 30 days. Cash only, no financing contingencies. Perfect. Nora leaned back in her chair. Ivy, I have to ask. What exactly are you planning to do once you own these clinics? Run them. Professionally, ethically. And when Trent and Scarlett show up for their appointments? I met her eyes. They'll be treated like any other patients, subject to the same policies and procedures as everyone else. Which means they'll need to meet our standards for treatment eligibility. Nora raised an eyebrow. Standards that you'll be setting. Standards that any reputable clinic should have. Ivy, look, I'm not planning to do anything illegal or unethical, but if they want to use my clinic, they'll have to follow my rules. Nora was quiet for a moment, then pulled out her laptop. All right, let's structure this properly. We'll set up an LLC to purchase the clinics. Keep your name off the public records for as long as possible. How long can we keep it quiet? Depends on how nosy they get. The ownership records are public, but most people don't know how to search for them. My phone buzzed with a text from Brock. Mom wants to know if you've thought more about the house. Can we talk tonight? I showed Nora the message. They're not wasting any time, she said. Neither are we. Can you contact Valeria today? Already drafting the letter of intent. Nora's fingers flew across her keyboard. But I need you to be absolutely sure about this. Once we start this process, there's no going back. I'm sure. Even if it destroys your marriage? I thought about Brock's face at dinner, the way he'd looked at me like I was being unreasonable for not wanting to sell my house. My marriage was destroyed the moment he chose his family over me. Nora nodded and kept typing. Valeria's asking for proof of funds with the initial offer. I can have bank statements to you by tomorrow morning. Good. I'll also need... Her office door burst open. Nora, I need to... Oh, a tall man in an expensive suit stopped short when he saw me. Sorry, I didn't know you had a client. Marcus, this is Ivy. Ivy, my partner Marcus. Marcus extended his hand. Nice to meet you. Sorry for barging in. No problem, I said, shaking his hand. Actually, Nora said, Marcus might be helpful here. He specializes in medical practice acquisitions. Marcus's eyes lit up. Buying a practice? 3 fertility clinics, Nora said. The Clark chain. No kidding? I know that operation. Solid business, great reputation. Valeria's been talking about selling for months. What do you know about the patient base? I asked. Mostly affluent couples, some celebrities, very discreet. They do good work, but Valeria's getting burned out. Too much drama, too many demanding patients. Demanding how? Marcus sat down. You know how it is with fertility treatments. People get desperate, entitled. They think money can guarantee results. Valeria's had patients threaten to sue when treatments don't work, demand special treatment because of who they are or how much they're paying. Sounds familiar, I muttered. The thing is, Marcus continued, Valeria's been too nice. She lets patients walk all over her, breaks her own policies to keep people happy. A new owner could really tighten things up, establish better boundaries. Nora and I exchanged glances. That's exactly what we're thinking, Nora said. My phone rang. Valeria Clark. Should I answer it? I asked. Nora nodded. Put it on speaker. Hello, this is Ivy. Ms. Davis? This is Valeria Clark. I understand you might be interested in purchasing my clinics? I am. Very interested. Wonderful. I have to ask, are you looking to continue operating them as fertility clinics? Absolutely. I believe in the work you do. Good. I've built something special here, and I want to make sure it goes to someone who understands the mission. Can we meet tomorrow to discuss terms? I looked at Nora, who nodded. Tomorrow works perfectly. The closing took place on a Thursday morning in Marcus's conference room. Valeria sat across from me, signing document after document with shaking hands. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, she said, initialing another page. 23 years I've been building this practice. You should be proud, I said. The staff speaks very highly of you. They're good people. I hope you'll keep them on. That's the plan. Nora slid the final contract across the table. Last signature, and it's official. Valeria signed with a flourish, then looked up at me. The clinics are yours, Ivy. Take good care of them. I will. After Valeria left, Marcus poured champagne. Congratulations. You're now the owner of 3 of the most prestigious fertility clinics in the city, including the one Trent and Scarlett have been going to, Nora added. I checked my phone. 2 missed calls from Brock and a text. Family dinner Sunday. Mum's making your favorite. They still don't know? Marcus asked. Not a clue. The ownership transfer won't show up in public records for another week. And their next appointment? I pulled up the clinic's scheduling system on my laptop. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Nora leaned over my shoulder. Dr. Martinez is their physician. Was. I'm making some changes to the staff assignments. My phone rang. Brock. I should take this, I said, stepping into the hallway. Hey, where are you? Brock's voice sounded strained. Downtown, meeting with a client. Can you come home? Mom and Dad are here. They want to talk about the house. They're at our house? They brought a realtor, just to get an estimate. I closed my eyes. They brought a realtor to my house without asking me. It's not a big deal, just a quick walkthrough. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I hung up and walked back into the conference room. Problem? Nora asked. They brought a realtor to my house. Marcus whistled. Ballsy. They have no idea what they're dealing with, Nora said. I grabbed my purse. I need to go handle this. Can you brief the clinic managers about the ownership change? Already scheduled for this afternoon, Nora said. What do you want me to tell them about the new policies? Standard intake procedures apply to everyone. No exceptions. No special treatment based on family connections or financial status. Got it? 25 minutes later, I pulled into my driveway behind a silver BMW with Realtor plates. Through my living room window, I could see Teresa gesturing animatedly, while a woman in a red blazer took notes. I walked through my front door to find them in my kitchen. Ivy! Teresa beamed. Perfect timing. This is Janet. She's going to help us price the house. Janet extended her hand. Mrs. Davis, your home is absolutely beautiful. The renovations are top-notch. Thank you. Though I should mention the house isn't actually for sale. The room went quiet. Well, not yet, Palmer said from the doorway. But we wanted to know what we're working with. Brock appeared behind his father. I thought it would be good to have all the information before we make a decision. What decision? I haven't agreed to sell anything. Teresa's smile faltered. But surely you've thought about what we discussed. Trent and Scarlett's appointment is next week. I'm aware of their appointment. The premium package Dr. Martinez recommended costs $47,000, Scarlett said, emerging from my living room. Per cycle. That's a lot of money, I agreed. Money we don't have, Trent added. But you do. Janet looked uncomfortable. Maybe I should wait outside. No need, I said. You can go. There won't be a listing today. Ivy, Teresa's voice sharpened. We're family. Family helps family. Funny how that only seems to apply when you need something. Brock stepped forward. Can we talk privately? We can talk right here, in my house, that I bought, with my money. Our money, he corrected. Really? Show me one bank statement, one mortgage payment, one receipt that has your name on it. Brock's face flushed. Marriage is a partnership. You're right, it is. So when exactly were you planning to partner with me on this decision? We're partnering now. No, you're pressuring me now. There's a difference. Teresa stood up straighter. Ivy, I think you're being selfish. The word hung in the air like a challenge. Selfish, I repeated. Yes. You have resources that could help create life, help build our family's future. Instead, you're hoarding them for yourself. Hoarding them for myself. In the house where I live. The house where you live alone most of the time because you're always working, Scarlett added. At least if we had the money, it would go towards something meaningful. Something meaningful. Trent crossed his arms. Look, we get it. You're attached to the house, but attachment doesn't create grandchildren. And grandchildren are what matter most, Teresa said. Not houses, not money, not personal feelings, the continuation of our family line. I looked around the room at these people, my husband's family, who had invaded my home to pressure me into funding their dreams. You know what? I said finally. You're absolutely right. Everyone perked up. Family should help family, and meaningful contributions should be recognized and rewarded. Exactly, Teresa said, smiling again. Which is why I've decided to make a significant investment in fertility treatments. Oh, Ivy! Scarlett clapped her hands together. I think you'll all be very surprised by what I've arranged. Brock looked confused. What do you mean, arranged? My phone buzzed with a text from Nora. All clinic managers briefed. New policies in effect Monday. You'll find out soon enough, I said. Now, I think it's time for everyone to leave. I have some calls to make. Tuesday morning, I sat in my car across the street from the fertility clinic, watching the entrance. At exactly 8:55 a.m., Brock's BMW pulled into the parking lot. Teresa got out first, followed by Palmer, then Trent and Scarlett. Even Brock was there. The whole family had come to support Trent and Scarlett's big appointment. I waited 5 minutes, then walked through the employee entrance using my new key card. Good morning, Mrs. Davis, said Rebecca, the head nurse. Everything's ready as you requested. Thank you. Are they in consultation room 3? Yes. Dr. Martinez is with them now. I nodded and headed to my office, Valeria's old office, which I'd barely had time to redecorate. Through the security monitor, I could see the family crowded into the consultation room, Teresa holding Scarlett's hand, while Dr. Martinez reviewed their file. My phone buzzed. A text from Brock. At the clinic now. Wish us luck. I almost laughed. 20 minutes later, Rebecca knocked on my door. Dr. Martinez needs to speak with you. I found him in the hallway, looking uncomfortable. Mrs. Davis, there's a situation with the appointment in room 3. What kind of situation? The family is demanding. They want to bypass our standard protocols, insist on immediate treatment authorization, and they're name-dropping you as a personal reference. Are they? The older woman, Mrs. Teresa, she keeps saying your family, and that you've personally guaranteed their treatment costs. Interesting. What did you tell them? That I need to verify their information and review their case with the new ownership. Good. Tell them I'll be in shortly to discuss their case personally. Dr. Martinez's eyes widened. You're going to see them yourself? I think it's time we met. I walked down the hallway, my heels clicking against the polished floor. Through the consultation room's glass door, I could see them all sitting there. Teresa checking her watch impatiently, Scarlett scrolling through her phone, Trent pacing by the window. I knocked and entered. The room went dead silent. Hello, everyone, I said, closing the door behind me. I understand you're here for a consultation. Brock's mouth fell open. Ivy, what are you doing here? I work here. You work here? Teresa's voice was sharp. Since when? Since I bought the clinic, last week actually. The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. You bought the clinic, Trent said slowly. I bought all 3 clinics in the chain. This one, the downtown location, and the one in Westfield. Scarlett looked confused. But we've been coming here for months. Dr. Martinez knows our case. Dr. Martinez works for me now. This is impossible. Teresa stood up. You don't have that kind of money. Don't I? Brock was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. How could you afford to buy 3 medical clinics? The same way I afforded to buy our house, with money I earned. But the house, Palmer started, is still not for sale. Teresa's face was turning red. This is ridiculous. You can't just buy a medical practice to spite us. I didn't buy it to spite you. I bought it because it's a good investment. The fact that you happen to be patients here is just coincidence. Coincidence, Trent repeated. Now, about your treatment plan. I sat down at the desk and opened their file. I've been reviewing your case, and I have some concerns. Concerns? Scarlett's voice was getting higher. Our clinic has strict policies about patient behavior and treatment eligibility. We require all patients to demonstrate emotional stability, financial responsibility, and respect for our staff. We've been nothing but respectful, Teresa protested. Really? Because according to your file, you've made several complaints about wait times, demanded special scheduling accommodations, and threatened to leave negative reviews when you didn't get your way. That's normal patient advocacy, Trent said. Is it? Because our policy clearly states that patients who create a hostile environment for staff or other patients may have their treatment suspended. The room erupted. You can't be serious, Scarlett said. This is insane, Teresa added. You're punishing us because we asked you to sell your house, Trent accused. I held up my hand for silence. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm applying our standard policies equally to all patients. Standard policies that you just made up, Brock said quietly. Standard policies that any reputable clinic should have. Policies that protect both patients and staff from inappropriate behavior. What inappropriate behavior? Teresa demanded. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recording app. Would you like me to play back your conversation from last week's lunch? The one where you discussed my personal medical situation in a public restaurant? Scarlett went pale. Or perhaps we should discuss the multiple times you've referred to me as Barren in front of clinic staff. We never, Teresa started. Rebecca has excellent hearing. So does Janet at the front desk. The room fell silent again. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. Your case is under review. We'll need updated financial documentation, psychological evaluations, and a formal commitment to following all clinic policies. How long will that take? Scarlett asked weakly. Could be weeks, could be months, depends on how cooperative you are. I stood up and walked to the door. Oh, and one more thing. As of today, all treatment costs must be paid in full, in advance. No payment plans, no family loans, no selling other people's houses. I opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Welcome to my clinic. The explosion came 30 seconds after I closed the door. This is insane! Trent's voice carried through the hallway. She can't do this! I walked to my office, but the shouting followed me. She's lost her mind, Teresa was saying. Buying a clinic just to torture us. Maybe we should call a lawyer, Palmer suggested. My office door burst open. Brock stood there, his face flushed and angry. What the hell is wrong with you? Close the door, Brock. Don't tell me what to do. You just humiliated my entire family. I applied standard clinic policies. Nothing more. Bullshit. This is revenge, and you know it. I leaned back in my chair. Revenge for what? For asking you to help with Trent and Scarlett's treatments. You mean for demanding I sell my house to fund their treatments. We asked? You brought a realtor to my house without my permission. Brock ran his hands through his hair. Okay, maybe that was too much. But this is psychotic. Running a business according to professional standards is psychotic? You bought 3 clinics to get back at us. I bought 3 clinics because they're profitable. The fact that your patient's here is your problem, not mine. The door opened again. Trent stormed in, followed by the rest of the family. We're not leaving until you fix this, he announced. Fix what? You know what. Stop playing games. I stood up. I'm not playing games. I'm running a medical practice. A medical practice you bought to screw us over, Scarlett said, her voice shaking. I bought a medical practice to make money. If you feel screwed over, maybe you should examine your own behavior. Our behavior? Teresa stepped forward. What about your behavior? Lying to your husband, hiding money, buying businesses behind our backs. I didn't lie about anything. I just didn't announce my business decisions to people who aren't my business partners. We're your family, Palmer said quietly. Are you? Because family doesn't demand you sell your home. Family doesn't call you Barren in public. Family doesn't bring realtors to your house without permission. We were trying to help, Teresa protested. Help who? Because it wasn't me. Nora appeared in the doorway. Is there a problem here? Who are you? Trent demanded. I'm Mrs. Davis's attorney, and you're trespassing. We're patients here, Scarlett said. We're patients, Nora corrected. Your case is under review, remember? This is harassment, Trent said. We'll sue. Nora smiled. For what? Applying standard medical practice policies? Good luck with that. She bought this place to hurt us, Teresa said. Can you prove that? Nora asked. Because I have documentation showing this was a straightforward business acquisition. Market rate purchase, standard terms, legitimate business purpose. The business purpose is revenge, Brock said. The business purpose is profit, I replied. These clinics generate excellent returns. Bullshit. I opened my laptop and turned it toward them. Last quarter's financials. Would you like to see the projected annual revenue? Brock stared at the screen. 2.3 million? Net profit. Revenue is much higher. The room went quiet. You've been hiding this from me, Brock said slowly. All of it. The money, the investments, the business deals. I haven't been hiding anything. I just haven't been asking your permission to manage my own finances. We're married. We're supposed to be partners. Partners don't sell each other's houses without consent. I never agreed to sell the house. You never disagreed either. You sat there and let your family plan my life like I wasn't in the room. Trent stepped forward. This is between you and Brock. Don't punish us for his mistakes. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm running a business. Then run it properly, Scarlett demanded. Give us our appointment. Your appointment is contingent on meeting our requirements. What requirements? I pulled out a folder. Psychological evaluation to assess emotional readiness for treatment. Financial documentation proving ability to pay without external pressure or coercion. Written commitment to respectful behavior toward all staff and patients. This is ridiculous, Teresa said. This is standard practice at reputable clinics. We've been coming here for months, Scarlett protested. Under previous ownership, new policies. You can't just change the rules, Trent said. I can do whatever I want. It's my clinic. Nora stepped forward. I think this meeting is over. You've been informed of the new requirements. You can choose to comply or seek treatment elsewhere. We're not going anywhere, Teresa said. Actually, you are. Nora pulled out her phone. Security will escort you out if necessary. Security? Palmer looked confused. Standard procedure for disruptive patients, I said. We're not disruptive, Scarlett protested. You're shouting in a medical facility. You've invaded my office without permission. You've made threats and accusations. How is that not disruptive? Brock was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Who are you? I'm the woman you married. The woman you've been taking for granted. The woman who just bought 3 medical clinics while you were planning to sell her house. I don't even know you anymore. Maybe you never did. Security appeared in the doorway. 2 large men in uniforms. Everything okay here, Mrs. Davis? These people were just leaving. Teresa drew herself up to her full height. This isn't over. Yes, it is, I said. Your next appointment is contingent on completing the requirements I outlined. Until then, you're not welcome in this clinic. One by one, They filed out. Brock was the last to leave. "This will destroy our marriage," he said quietly. "Our marriage was destroyed the moment you chose them over me." He stood there for a moment, then walked out without another word. Nora closed the door behind him. "Well," she said, "that went better than expected." "Did it? They're gone, they know you're serious, and they have no legal recourse. I'd call that a win." I sat down heavily in my chair. Then why do I feel like I just lost everything? The divorce papers arrived on a Friday. Brock had moved out 3 weeks earlier, taking only his clothes and his wounded pride. He'd left a note on the kitchen counter. "I can't be married to someone who would destroy a family out of spite." I was reading the papers when my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a young woman I didn't recognize, holding a baby. "Can I help you?" I asked through the door. "Are you Ivy? From the fertility clinic?" I opened the door cautiously. "Yes. I'm Sarah. I wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what?" She shifted the baby in her arms. "For the scholarship program, for making it possible for people like me to afford treatment." I stared at her. "I'm sorry. What scholarship program?" "The one your clinic started, for couples who can't afford the full cost of IVF. My husband and I applied 3 months ago, and we were selected." She looked down at the baby. "This is Emma. She's 2 weeks old." My phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Can you come in? We need to discuss the scholarship applications. We have over 200 already." "I think there's been a mistake," I told Sarah. "No mistake. The letter was signed by you. It said the program was funded by anonymous donors who wanted to help deserving families." I excused myself and called Rebecca. "What scholarship program?" I asked. "The one you approved last month. Dr. Martinez said you wanted to use part of the clinic's profits to help couples who couldn't afford treatment." "I never approved that." "Oh, well, it's been incredibly successful. We've helped 12 couples so far, and the waiting list keeps growing." I hung up and looked at Sarah, who was still standing on my porch with her baby. "Would you like to come in?" I asked. She followed me to the living room, where she told me her story. 3 years of trying, 2 miscarriages, mounting debt from failed treatments. Her husband worked 2 jobs. She worked nights as a nurse, but they still couldn't afford the premium treatments. "When we got the letter saying we'd been selected for the scholarship, I cried for an hour," she said. "We'd given up hope." After Sarah left, I drove to the clinic. Rebecca was waiting with a stack of files. "These are all the scholarship applications," she said. "Dr. Martinez has been reviewing them with the other doctors. They're all legitimate cases, couples who genuinely can't afford treatment but would benefit from it." I flipped through the files. Teachers, firefighters, social workers, people who helped others but couldn't help themselves. "How much has this cost so far?" "About $80,000, but the success rate has been incredible. Higher than our regular patients, actually." "Why?" "Dr. Martinez thinks it's because these couples are so grateful. They follow instructions perfectly. They don't miss appointments. They take their medications exactly as prescribed. They don't stress about the cost because it's covered." My phone rang. Nora. "Have you seen the news?" she asked. "What news?" "Channel 7 is running a story about your clinic's scholarship program. They're calling it revolutionary and heartwarming." I turned on the TV in the waiting room. A reporter was standing outside the clinic, interviewing couples who had been helped by the program. "The anonymous donors behind this program are changing lives," the reporter said. "In a world where fertility treatments are often only available to the wealthy, this clinic is proving that everyone deserves a chance at parenthood." Rebecca appeared beside me. "The phone hasn't stopped ringing. Everyone wants to know how to apply." "And how to donate," added Janet from the front desk. "We've had 3 people offer to fund additional scholarships just today." I stared at the TV screen, watching couple after couple thank the anonymous donors for giving them hope. Mrs. Davis? Dr. Martinez approached. I wanted to apologize for starting the program without explicit approval, but when I saw how much profit the clinic was generating and how many deserving couples were being turned away, you did the right thing, I said quietly. So we can continue the program? I looked around the clinic, at the staff who had embraced this mission, at the grateful families in the waiting room, at the news crew interviewing more success stories outside. Expand it, I said. Double the funding. That evening, I sat in my empty house, reading more divorce papers. Brock wanted half of everything, including the clinics. His lawyer argued that they were marital assets purchased during the marriage. My phone rang. Teresa. I saw the news, she said without preamble. Did you? You're giving away free treatments to strangers while refusing to help your own family. I'm helping families who deserve help. And we don't. I thought about Sarah and her baby, about the teacher who'd been trying for 5 years, about the firefighter whose wife had endured 6 miscarriages. No, I said. You don't. We're family. Family doesn't demand you sell your house. Family doesn't call you Barren in public. Family doesn't bring realtors to your home without permission. We made mistakes. You made choices. Now you get to live with them. Teresa was quiet for a moment. Trent and Scarlett found another clinic. They're starting treatments next month. Good for them. They had to take out a second mortgage. That's what people do when they want something badly enough. You could have helped. I am helping. Just not you. I hung up and looked around my house. My beautiful, empty house that I'd fought so hard to keep. Tomorrow, I would meet with Nora to discuss Brock's demands. We would fight for the clinics, for the scholarship program, for the right to help people who actually deserved help. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Thank you for giving us hope. Our twins are due in December. Michael and David. I smiled and started typing back. Congratulations. Send pictures when they arrive. Outside it was starting to rain, but inside my house that I'd bought and renovated and fought to keep, everything was exactly as it should be.